road, but a catalyst for change in a society is usually persona non grata with those who have been the beneficiaries of the system.
Today, I am thrilled to have on the record with me Negron. He is a key figure from the National Economic Council. Joining us, he is going to discuss the remarkable achievements in federal contracting, which we talk a lot about on this segment, and the broader impacts of this year's Small Business Boom Report. We're going to be focusing on empowering small businesses, including those owned by Black Americans. We're doubling down today. The administration has set new records in economic opportunities, and that's what we will be covering. Welcome to On the Record, Michael.
Thank you, Ebony. Really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Start by giving us an overview of the key highlights from this year's Small Business Boom Report and what they mean specifically for Black-owned businesses in America.
Yes, I'm very happy to do that. So number one, this is National Small Business Week, and so it's an opportunity for us, for the president, for the vice president, to recognize that millions of small businesses across the country are powering our economy, are powering our communities. It's not just about how many employees they have or how much money they put back into the economy. It's the fact that small businesses are at the heart of our main streets. They hire our children for their first jobs. They sponsor Little League teams. And so the president has been focused from day one on supporting small businesses. So in the report that was released today, we talked about this morning, we'll continue to talk about throughout the day and throughout the week. Number one, we're just highlighting and touting the fact that we continue to have an entrepreneurship boom under this president, under this vice president, with 17.2 million new business applications filed since the president and the vice president took office. Our first 3 years were the strongest 3 years on record. We're on pace for a fourth. And so that's just a tremendous trends that we've seen and continue to see. And as a part of that, we know that business ownership amongst Black households has doubled since 2019. So this is an entrepreneurship boom that is broad-based, and that's something that we want to see. Also announced today, the Small Business Administration put out what they call their procurement scorecard. This is where they go through, release the data on how federal contracts were awarded. They go through each agency. The agencies get grades. And so today, SBA announced that in the last fiscal year, 2023, the federal government awarded a record $178.6 billion in federal contracts to small businesses. As part of this, we also set a record $76 billion in contracts to small disadvantaged businesses. And so these are very positive results. Obviously, we want to do better and do more. And it's been a big directive from the president to make sure that our contract dollars help lift up small businesses, but it's good progress. And then the third thing I'd point out that's in the report is that we show that the Small Business Administration is on track this year to double the amount of what we call small dollar loans. These are loans of $150,000 or less. We are on track to double them from 2020. And that's good news because this is something that small businesses tell us all the time. They tell when they're surveyed, this is a big thing that comes up in surveys, that people need small loans. Because most businesses are small businesses. They're a handful of employees. They're not going out and getting $5 million, $10 million. They need $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, and those are actually hard to get from banks. They're not that profitable for banks because interest on a large loan is much more lucrative than interest on a small loan. And so one of the priorities that we've set is getting more SBA-backed small dollar loans in the hands of businesses. And this is telling us that we're on track. Of course, we have more work to do, but this is telling us that we're on track. So we're thrilled to highlight those points, and I'm happy to go deeper on anything that you've got in terms of questions.
Absolutely. So speaking on some of the challenges that you have, as soon as I saw this report come out, I instantly thought about the Supreme Court decision we saw against Minority Business Development Agency, right? So we've seen attack after attack when it comes to all efforts on diversity, on DEI, basically diversity, equity, and inclusion. So when we see efforts that are saying agencies like that cannot now target like Black businesses and have to now open up, or we see even within the SBA changes with the 8A program, how are you going to be able to meet some of these goals with such attacks happening? So, what will that mean for specifically Black businesses?
Yeah,
Who
so in
already
the
weren't getting a portion of the, who really weren't, even with many efforts, weren't getting a sizable portion of the pie.
Yes, well, I think that is a great question. And the in the face of litigation, in the face of the ultimate case on 8A, the Newsyard case on the MBDA, as you know, we had in the beginning of the administration with the restaurant program challenged, among others. And so our commitment remains to make sure that there's fair and equitable distribution of our investments, our loans, our programs, and we've just been adjusting. We've had to adjust as these lawsuits come in. The MBDA put out guidance recently. It changed its questionnaire to remove the question that the questions on race that the court had found problematic, but the doors are still open. The MBDA is still delivering support on the 8A challenges. Some adjustments had to be made to the application process, but we continue to get dollars out the door. As part of what the SBA put out today, it shows that the amount of contract dollars that went to Black-owned small businesses, we reached $10.2 billion in fiscal year 2023. It's about $800 million more than it was in FY20. So the commitment is there. It's of course the lawsuits make it more challenging. But it also helps, in some sense, clarify what the stakes are, right? That the president and the vice president are fighting on behalf of small businesses, are fighting on behalf of Black-owned businesses and other minority-owned businesses who for too long were excluded from federal contracts. And when you look at congressional Republicans or conservative activist groups, they're trying to stop that. And so that's the importance of maintaining momentum, maintaining that leadership from the top, so that we can continue to deliver.
Discuss any new upcoming initiatives that we may be, I mean, I know if it's some things you may not be able to say right now, but any new upcoming initiatives aimed at reducing any more of those barriers and that small and minority-based businesses face when competing with these federal contracts. We've done countless interviews with business owners, even with the MBDA and SBA, and people find it just very challenging, even getting some of the information.
Yeah, so a couple things that I think are underway. So number one is just the fact that we are trying to put more resources out there for small businesses to learn about the contracting process, whether it's through our procurement centers run by the Department of Defense, whether it's through the small business development centers and the community navigators run by the Small Business Administration, or the MBDA centers. We've gone from 88 when we came office to 132. So we're trying to put more support out there. And in fact, we heard today there was a roundtable this morning with the Administrator Guzman, as well as Lael Brainerd, NEC Director, and Neera Tandon, Domestic Policy Director. And we had a number of small business owners who had access federal contracts. And we heard from one, Wilbert Johnson from Arizona, who had talked up. He runs a healthcare program management and engineering service, a small business, works with a lot of federal agencies. And he talked about how the free SBA workshops had given him the confidence and the knowledge to pursue federal contracts. And so we see that this is an important resource. Something else that we're going to be doing is putting more information as to what's coming down the pike, so that there's more predictability about, 9 months from now, we expect this kind of contract. We want to get more information out the door so that small businesses can plan for those future procurement opportunities.
Last question: with such significant investments in infrastructure and small businesses, how does the National Economic Council measure this direct impact on job creation and wealth building within Black communities?
Well, what we're looking for is continued signs of growth. I mean, we're encouraged by the fact that Black business ownership is up since 2019. We want it to continue to go up. We want to make sure that everyone is benefiting from the economic gains that we've seen. But we can't let up. We can't relent. There's more work to do to create more opportunities to lower costs for Americans. We would love to have more cooperation from the congressional Republicans on that front. So we'll continue to call for that even as we continue to move our initiatives forward. But the bottom line is we've seen some positive improvements. We've seen some positive signs that we're having an impact, but the president won't rest until we are really moving towards a fair and equitable economy. And that just means day after day, continuing to push, sometimes in the face of lawsuits and opposition from Republicans on the Hill.
Michael Negron with National Economic Council, thank you so much for joining me on the record on American Urban Radio Networks, and look forward to having you back again, sir.
Anytime. Thanks, Ebony.
Absolutely. Thank you.